If you like this video and want to see more, then please subscribe to the channel. Right, so I've got the passenger side door cards on the table here now. Let's just compare the two and see what work I've got to do to transfer them over. So this is the damage that I've got on my passenger side door card. You can see the clip there is broken, and that one there. So in order to fix that issue, you can see someone's put a hole just down through there, and they put a self-tapping screw from the front. There is a place online that I've used before that has got a set for the passenger door of all of these clips available, but they're £35, but that still wouldn't have resolved the issue that I've got with a hole in the skin. So I decided that I was going to bite the bullet. I think the new one that I've got here was around about £70. But it does look absolutely perfect. You might notice though, there's a small hole and another small hole down there. So there's a number of things that need to be transferred over. So the first thing we need to save are the fur clips. I'm not quite sure what they're called, but in order to get these out, you put your pliers on them. You put one arm on that face there and one on just there, and you just gently squeeze. What you don't want to be doing is pulling from the top of here and turning it like that, because you're likely to break things. Now obviously this is the old one, so you could say in a way it doesn't matter, but I would like to save as much of this as possible for spare parts if I can. That one came out nicely. So something I've noticed on all of these door cards, they've actually got the chassis number of the car written on them. So that one there is my chassis number, and that's the chassis number of the car that I've taken it from. I also noticed that the manufacturers are different. That is a company called Lear. This is a company called RDS. So let's have a look at the various components of the door from the inside. You've got the little puddle light down at the bottom. You've got the bottom of the door pocket, and that's behind where the armrest goes. Obviously that's where the door handle goes, and then you've got the speaker grille. Now there's a difference I've noticed between the old and the new doors. The old door cards have got one big centre locator, and it looks like the later ones don't have it. But I've looked on the car and it looks like that just goes into a little opening on the door that on my car was actually taped over with a circular disc tape. But I can remove that and that should fit just fine. So jobs to do to swap to make this serviceable. Obviously I've got to move the little puddle light from one to the other, so 2 screws and that'll move across. So there's another view of the puddle light that's got to be transferred over. I need to take this armrest off, and also the bin that's below it. So as you can see where the armrest fasteners go. So I think the most difficult part is going to be, you can see the bottom of the door pocket's actually plastic welded. It's not a screw. As you can see, that little base there is in place. Now I'm wondering if I can tap a small hole down the centre of that and put a self-tapping screw in it with a washer to hold it in place. If not, I think I'm just going to entrust some glue. So to remove the armrests, it's just 4 screws. One there, one there, and one down the end there. Okay, those screws are removed, and let's see how easy this is to take out, especially with one hand. That's actually really easy. Okay, let's see if we can just gently take the edge off this. Ow, that's hot. Now I wonder if I can prise that up. There you go. So now to get the seat pocket out, it'll move down, but you move it also towards the back. Again, like many jobs, this is far easier with two hands. And that is the seat pocket out of the way. And the puddle light is the last thing to be done. So while I've got the puddle light out, just take the opportunity to show you how it works. Normally to get the bulb out, you would put a screwdriver up in there, and what you'll see is it just flips the tab that's under there, and this slides off. That gives you access to the bulb. As you can see, I've taken advantage of the fact these are off and I've just put a LED bulb in there. So to install this easily, you insert the electrical connector part first and you screw this in place. Then that just installs underneath, like so. So the next thing to do is put the bin back in. But as you can see from the one I've removed, all of the leather and the internal fabric has come loose. So I'm going to give it a clean up. And if you can see in there the residue of the old glue, so I'm going to get that cleaned and use some 3M adhesive and get that stuck back in place. So let that tack off just a little bit. Not too worried about any overspray anywhere because it's all covered over by other parts of the trim. But hopefully this will improve the pocket. I had noticed, to be honest, that this piece of fabric was loose when it was in the car, but thought that's as it was supposed to be. Didn't realise it had come unstuck. Okay, now it's time to see if we can get this door pocket in. We'll tuck everything underneath that panel. So as you can see, it's sliding in there nicely. Right, so there we go. It looks a little bit of a different colour because I've just put some leather conditioner on there, just soaking in. Just to finish up, I think I'm just going to weld that slightly with a soldering iron, and that's this door card done. There you go. Definitely got it. So also I put all these clips back in. Going to use a similar process to what I did on the way in, just try and keep horizontal pressure. There you go. But to me, that looks really good. So if we take a look now at the driver's side, you can see quite clearly why I want to change the speaker grill, because that's quite nasty. On the passenger side, it had a hole that went through there. This one, it's got it on the end. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3 broken clips, which is a bit of a disaster. So I've removed the screws from the back. I was trying to just gently remove this armrest, and on this one, I can't show it on camera, but just down behind here there's a screw that isn't on the later ones. So to remove it, I'm going to use my favourite gadget. I don't know if anyone's seen that before. I think I got it from Screwfix years ago. They're not very strong, but they're good for taking out screws, and when you've got a small area to get into. And if you can see that, put the screwdriver's in there, have my hand behind the screwdriver, you just turn the end and it unscrews. There we go. Just checking there's none others. There you go. That's off. You can see the two arms side by side. The earlier one, the bracket, looks like that, and the later one is obviously made a little bit different. And underneath, look, they're very different. I do need to get these door bins out because I was forgetting that the fabric on the inside. I was forgetting the fabric on the inside are different colours. But as we've seen, that's not too bad. But what I'm going to do, I think, is de-rivet the back of this panel first, because this is the panel that I don't need to keep. So if I make any mistakes, I can make it on the first one before removing that one that I need to move to this particular door card. So I actually found that as I was taking the door bin out, this was pulling up, so I just pulled it away and it just came out really easily. It seems the best way to remove these is to be careful with the pliers, but to just crush the tops, and the plastic's coming away. It seems quite brittle, leaving quite a small stalk, so I'm hoping I can just push those through. It's certainly the later one seems to be a lot more secure than the earlier one. I know this seems a little bit Heath Robinson, but it's the same way you get rivets out of an aeroplane. You would take the heads off, you wouldn't actually drill right through. You do a lot less damage than to the material. There we go, it's holding on more than that. So if you take a look at the fasteners of the panel I've removed, you can actually see that built into this, and whether it goes all the way through, doesn't look like it does, but built into this I think is something similar to these fasteners, the fur fasteners. because they're definitely sort of serrated on the edge. So I think they put them through, and then they must melt them at the top to make the weld. And it looks like a rivet, but it clearly isn't. Now this panel here, I've put that back on there, and as you can see, even the ones that I pulled off before, they actually line up really well and they'll come through. So I'm going to melt them in a similar way, and hopefully that will hold it perfectly. So once I've done that, the pocket needs to go in, or the bin, whatever you want to call it, and then the armrest, and then we're pretty much good to go on this one. So I put a block of wood just underneath. It means that I can push it down, and it actually pushes that through a little bit further. So I've got my soldering iron. Let's see if we can melt it. Melt it from the centre. See if that holds. I think that holds really quite well. So that one comes through nicely. Let's see what we can do with this one. So melt it down in the centre. So there we go, the top panel. That's in, nice and secure. So next is going to be the door pocket, and then put the armrest on. You can actually feel me slipping off the screw a little bit, but that's because I'm trying not to put too much pressure on, and with the experienced hand it almost acts like a bit of a torque wrench. It's not the best practice because you do damage the screws slightly over time.